like kicking off the morning with the sound of beautiful GT cars. Getting off nice and early is the Australian GT Championship, and there's Roger Lago in the lead from James Konduras, Tony Quinn, and then one of these beautiful new Mercedes AMG GT3s. Chad Nail on Alex Davison kicking off the morning. Peter Hackett, that's aggressive. And that is a horrible accident down at turn 9. Oh dear.
Peter Hackett just getting a bit out of shape under brakes and couldn't pull the car up before crashed into our race winner from yesterday, James Konduras, who was definitely the innocent bystander there. Tony Quinn getting hit as well. We can't see the damage on his car, but now
safety car is out here, Alex.
Yeah, McLaren's got damage on the front of it. Well, Grant Denye's McLaren also has got some damage on the front. I don't know if that was in the same accident or not, but
gee, that was a horrible impact. Thankfully, left-hand drive is the Audi, so didn't cop it in the door, but Quinn's involved in that one as well.
On his right rear.
Oh man, they were a huge chance as well.
Whether that's just a puncture or structural damage, who knows? But Roger Lago's out in front. He got a great restart. He got the restart over James Konduras, the Lamborghini using all its power to get to the first corner. And look, Adelaide's it's got a bit of a strange grid setup. Pole position isn't the best place to start. Well, unfortunately, pole position's on the outside, so Roger Lago taking advantage of his second position starting place, which is in effect pole position here. You see Craig Baird darting out 4 rows back. Roger Lago does a good job to get to the first corner first. We saw contact behind here between Tony Quinn and James Konduras, and carbon fibre winglets and bits and pieces flying everywhere.
Cleaner than last year's start to the Sunday race, at least through that part of the track.
Carefully, the McLaren, I think one of those big winglets on the
yeah, there it is, right on the back of
corner of the McLaren flew off there on the outside. So there's
carbon fibre confetti.
Thousands of dollars worth of carbon fibre shattered all over the road now.
That was the first contact for James Konduras, the pole sitter. Oh, up and airborne. Taylor with a bit of hang time over the curbs. He's got one of the shortest pit stop times in the front part of the field. This is the moment though. The Merc pulls to the inside of Quinn.
Hackett just braking way too late. You don't see the wheels smoking up in these cars, obviously, because there is ABS braking system, but it doesn't really magically make you stop quicker.
T-bone
too late. So that's a huge contact with the bonnet fly up on the Mercedes there.
That's a brand new 2015 Audi and a brand new Mercedes.
So hopefully, it sounds silly, but hopefully there's not too serious damage on those cars, which are going to risk them for the Grand Prix in a couple of weeks.
Good point. And that is the damage to the right rear of a car that was absolutely in contention for the whole thing here this weekend. They're working.
Looks like they're going to get that thing back out. Hopefully it's just a flat tyre and a bit of body damage.
Okay, we've got a little bit of work to do down at turn 9. What's happening in pit lane, Kylie?
Well, Marcus Marshall, I was standing right beside you when that happened, and the looks said it all, shattering.
Yeah, James is just minding his own business and just completely taken out. You know, some people just, some drivers will leave their brains at home in their hotel room this morning, unfortunately. So it's unfortunate for Melbourne Performance Centre and Audi 5 Doc. You know, James has done such a great job all weekend. And we're looking for, you know, a podium result there, and hey, what can you do?
Too true. Enjoy the rest of the race.
Yeah, I've been around a while, so I've seen it a few times, but still disappointing. But yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
What else do you say in that situation as the Audi goes on the flatbed? Absolutely clobbered down at turn 9. Hackett unfortunately couldn't stop the Mercedes. The thing is, because the different drivers have different pit stop times, Hackett had the longest stop out of pretty much everyone except Konduras, was wanting to get to the lead, trying to build that lead so that in the pit stop process it wouldn't hamper him so much, but as a result couldn't pull up that car at the end of the big straight with cold brakes and cold tyres, and that was a nasty impact.
He was tucked right up behind Tony Quinn. Difficult to see your braking points and all that when you're so close to another car, but still you have to allow for that.
So Quinn's going to try and keep on the lead lap here and get this thing fixed up. The right rear bodywork was rubbing on the tyre. Hopefully it's not destroyed a brand new, or it wouldn't be brand new, but this Pirelli.
Assuming this is a replay.
No, this is happening right now, so they're coming a second time.
Okay, is he still in the lead lap?
Should be. He will be after he exits the pits.
Yeah, well that's good. Hopefully they can get, there we go, they've fixed up that rear bumper a little bit, so that looks a bit tidier.
So that car's got damage to the right front from the start and the right rear.
A bit of of race tape.
Bit of race tape. Might cost $500,000, but there's nothing a bit of race tape can't fix.
Absolutely. And it looked like it was tracking pretty straight when he was driving back to the pit. So let's hope.
Cast of thousands down there this morning.
Yeah, let's hope that car's all square and running well.
There is Clark Quinn, his son. So they throw a couple more stripes on. Bit of Days of Thunder here. Get me out before the pace car. That's what Tony be saying, only in a rich Scottish accent. And away he goes. Now, is the field coming by? They're going to stay on the lead lap. It's going to be tight.
No, he's right. He's out. So he's going to have to go as quickly as possible now to get to the back of the train. He's got a lot of ground to make up. So he's going to have to push as hard as he can safely.
Here they come now.
Yeah,
so that was close.
Train. So he should be right. They've got at least another lap, probably 2 on the safety car. So Tony will get to the back of the train on the lead lap. And him and Clark can work their way back through the field.
Roger Lago is at the front. He is clearly leading the round points for the weekend on nearly 200 points. The next nearest car is McMillan and Glenn Wood. They'll be taking second for the weekend. They'll be starting 4th on the restart. So a long, long way to go before we can start worrying about round points. But I thought I'd give you a quick update. It's looking like being a Lamborghini 1-2 in terms of round points. Grant Denyer has slotted into second as a result of all this.
Craig Baird moving from 10th up to 3rd on the opening lap there, obviously benefiting a little bit from the accident at turn 9. But
that'll be Jonathan Webb driving that car, I believe, at the moment, who's due to start that entry.
But Bairdo's charged through the field there, and we can expect him to get through the 2 cars in front of him. Grant Denyer in the McLaren and Roger Lago in his Lamborghini reasonably quickly and do what he did in race 1 and try and get a gap out in front.
Here's the Sticks McLaren, winner of this race last year, actually, which was also shortened by a first lap crash, which involved half the field. And Quinn's just lapping it round. So they're clearly happy that they've fixed whatever that is, because he's not come back into the pits. He's going to catch the back of the train, and he will be ripping through this field before handing over the car to his son at about the halfway point, which is when the compulsory pit stop window starts. Now, all these drivers have different pit stop times depending on their driver rating, depending on where they started in the field. And towards the front of that pack, Tony Walls, who's currently 10th, has a pretty short pit stop time. Looks like we might be good for a restart here, Alex. They've cleaned up nicely down there at turn 9. That's an amazing bit of work by the officials to get that cleaned up in less than 8 minutes.
Luckily, both cars still had all their wheels attached. They could roll them out of the way pretty quickly. We're still seeing safety car lights on, but it looks like they're getting ready for a start.
Lexus safety car period hopefully over at the end of this lap. Yes. Oh, man. How about this? Webb is looking right behind Roger Lago. He's in that white McLaren. Techno Autosport stepping up into the Australian GT Championship with 3 cars. That one's sponsored by Just Cuts, the hairdressers. And we're green again with Lago bringing us back to the green flag. Craig Baird has jumped up the better part of 7 spots on the opening lap with all the chaos going on. He's in with a huge shot here.
And he doesn't have a bad pit stop time, albeit 10 seconds or more longer than Lago and Denyer, but it's not too bad considering he's going to have quite a good pace advantage on this opening stint of the race. Lago getting a really good restart, just accelerating hard out of the final corner. Grant Denyer under plenty of pressure from Craig Baird on cold tyres on what is basically the opening lap of the race. And Justin McMillan there in 4th place. Andrew McPherson with, I think, the shortest pit stop time in the whole race is looking good up there. Also in 5th position.
He's only got 12th.
And he's got a 56-second pit stop, which is equally the 2nd shortest, actually.
Oh, man.
Keep Wong down.
This damage, sorry to interrupt, but the damage on the left front of the McLaren is getting worse. It
doesn't look good.
Really shaking around. He looks to the inside of Lago. Jonathan Webb keen to get a move on here in that McLaren. Oh, here comes Baird with a bit of a sneaky look to the inside. He wants to build a lead on these 2 before he hands the car over to Scott Taylor for the second half of this race.
Yeah, we could see at high speed the front splitter vibrating heavily on Grant Denyer's McLaren. You've got to remember all the bodywork on these cars, in particular the front bumper and the front splitter, they're producing a lot of aerodynamic downforce. There's a lot of load going through the structure of that piece. So if it's broken, it's not only dangerous, but it can affect the handling of the car a lot. So he'll probably already be feeling a change in the feel of the car with that small amount of damage, and we've just got to keep an eye on it to make sure it doesn't get worse. Roger Lago doing a good job out in front again. He stretched his lead to a couple of car lengths, which doesn't sound like much, but it's enough to take the pressure off. Means he doesn't have to drive defensively and cover from Grant Denyer.
Well, it's confirmation that is Webb in the car at the moment.
Okay.
Yep, so Daniel will be hopping in at the end. So explains what a frantic start that was. Oh, here comes the big BMW. Really trying to get a wriggle on. Meanwhile, McPherson's got his hands full. Taylor in behind him. He's got a pretty short pit stop time as well. There's McMillan.
Steve Richards getting past Rod Salmon up the escape road at turn 9.
He's had a rough weekend.
Yeah, but luckily no damage this time at turn 9 for Rod.
Under brakes. Here comes Antunes.
Through Justin McMillan. So he's now up into 4th place.
Jeez.
Antunes been
serious?
Very, very quick all weekend. One of the fastest cars all weekend. So
he started 22nd.
Wow. He's had a stellar first couple of laps then. Great job by Antunes. I don't know how he's done that. He must have driven over the top of people. Great bet right up the back of Jonathan Webb through the final corner. I'm surprised Webby isn't able to go with Lago and put more pressure on him, but he's still adapting to the McLaren a little bit, and he's also carrying that damage, which isn't getting better every lap. That's his front split is actually falling off, starting to come apart now from the rest of the bumper. So potentially that's having a big effect.
Watch out for the car in 4th. He is catching these guys at a rapid rate. And Tunis is coming. There he is. Oh, he overcooks it a little bit.
He lost a good chunk of time there, but purple sectors everywhere for Nathan Antunes. So he's been the quickest car all weekend. Every time he's on the track, he's been
he's flying at the moment.
Very, very quick, and hasn't taken long to get used to that McLaren this weekend at all.
So I had a bit of a moment yesterday when Elliot Barber got stuck down the escape road. Bear just looks to the inside of the wounded Jonathan Webb McLaren.
Very close through turn 8. Let's see if he can get a bit of a run on him through turn 8. The damage to the front bumper doesn't seem to be hurting Webby too much through that high-speed part of the track.
Amazing, really. Check out some replays.
I think this could be something with Ash Samadi, because he was in that fight.
Oh, yeah.
With Steve Richards.
Good pickup. I wonder if he
get caught up with. If he just behind Richo in the BMW. That's
Griffith.
Mark Griffith getting tangled up with Ash Samadi. We didn't see exactly what happened there.
And this is that's another one. So that's Taylor.
It's the Taylor Bart Moore entry with Grant Taylor at the wheel there, making a little bit of contact.
Second is going off here. The battle for second is on. Lago's loving this. This is giving him that little bit of a breather that he needs.
Craig Baird will be looking for a move up the inside into turn 4 this lap. For sure he's going to have a go. And up the inside, pulls that off cleanly. Car looks really composed over the bumps compared to some of the other cars out there. They're all jumping around all over the place, but the Mercedes looks like it's handling the curbs and bumps very nicely.
Pretty much the only Mercedes that's been out of trouble this weekend is Ricky Capo in the Z4. Pair of Porsches doing battle behind him. John Martin's been ripping through the field. He started last. Here he is now inside the top 10, convincingly inside the top 10. He's charging through. Great drive from a former LMP2 racer at Le Mans.
Up the inside of Ricky Capo.
Wow.
So he's now moved up into
that'd be 7th
place.
Wow, he started back in 25th.
So doing a great job in equally the oldest car in the field. Still quite a good car though, these old 997 GT3Rs, considering it's basically a 2013 spec. 3 or 4 years, 3 years in this game is a lifetime. The development that's happened in GT3 racing over the last 3 years, especially with aerodynamics, is immense. So he's doing a very good job in that older car, and I'm sure he's looking forward to getting into the current 2016 spec 911 GT3R later in the year.
Here comes Baird. He's onto the back of Lago for the lead, and Tunis putting pressure on his teammate and team boss, really, Jonathan Webb. Is this the moment for Baird to take the lead?
Roger
from a long way back.
Inside, big move. Still gets it pulled up, so great move there. Good job, Craig Baird.
And good awareness from Roger Lago.
Yep, good job by both of those guys. Roger Lago's experienced enough to know it's much better for him to hook onto the back of Beardo and try and cut out some good lap times before the end of his stint.
Would have raced each other a lot in Porsche Carrera Cup. Now the battle for third is on between Jonathan Webb, who's starting to struggle with that front grip, and Nathan Antunes, who set the fastest lap of the race last time by, and also set the lap record here 2 days ago, so he is definitely going fast.
Look how quickly Craig Antunes with a big run out of turn 8 and easily up the inside into turn 9. So yeah, he's got a lot of pace in that McLaren. Look how quickly Craig Baird's cleared out in front. It'll be interesting to see what his lap times look like once he gets a bit of clear air and a few clear laps under his belt.
Baird's lap time's his pit time will be 4 seconds shorter than the 61 McLaren. But there'll also be the driver change, so it'll be Scott Taylor versus Elliot Barber at the end.
Yeah, so for sure the Antunes Barber entry has probably looking pretty strong. That 4-second difference isn't that much, considering Barber has been going very quickly this weekend and not that much slower than Antunes, relatively.
Probably a lap away from that pit stop window opening, so they'll have to go back around again. Here comes Emery to the inside. Oh, that's tight on the M6. Oh, contact with the M6. Oh, no.
Now that is Steve Richards behind the wheel.
You won't be overly impressed with that bit of driving.
Not at all. He started 20th in this race and had moved his way up into 12th position.
There it is.
Very upset with that.
Compulsory time pit stop window is open. Capo under pressure from Tony Walls. Here comes Emery. This car got a penalty for turning around Morecambe yesterday. And up the inside goes Griffith, who had a bit of a nightmare race yesterday. Contact with Elliot Barber. Actually pulled the belt off Griffith's water pump, which is why we saw him spin out, and then all the steam coming out from the front of that car. So it explains what happened there to him yesterday in this amazing new Mercedes AMG GT3 with Hog's Breath sponsorship this weekend. And that car there, Taplin and Canto doing a good job this weekend as well.
So any pro drivers who have started this race have a maximum driving time of 22 minutes. So as we saw Chris Mees pulling in just before the 22-minute mark yesterday.
Taplin to the inside of McPherson. What a great drive this is from the Lamborghini. Dean Canto is going to be taking the wheel of that car, and he will be strong. Pit stop window's open, by the way, so in comes the first one, and that'll be McMillan, who will hand this car over to Glenn Wood. And Glenn's been driving that car really well this weekend. Their pit stop time is 1:20, which is about average for the front guys.
Here we go, Justin McMillan. Not Justin McMillan, sorry, Roger Lago under plenty of pressure here.
See, Baird's checked out. He's got a 4-second lead here.
And he's done a 21.4 fastest lap of the race, which is what you'd expect with him, with clear air out in front.
He'll stay in to the maximum time that he can, which will probably be another 2 laps roughly.
And Antunes has passed so many people down into turn 9 this weekend already. I'm sure he'll be thinking about that right now as they approach turn 8.
Can he get a good run through here? This is the moment where we saw Courtney and Whincup put on a show yesterday, and it's a great exit.
Very close, and he'll do this move easily. Roger Lago, no option but just to let him through on the inside there. And,
this is the Hayden Cooper, John Magro car. That's the Cooper in it at the moment. Just go off down the return road, brings it back on. Plenty of black Lambos out there. If you're a Lamborghini fan, we are expecting the new Huracan to enter the series soon, which is actually built in Italy, unlike the other Lambos racing here, which amazingly built in Germany, alongside cars like the Audis, for example, that are built in Germany. Different place, though, that they build them.
So Antunes now will be off after Craig Baird. I'll be interested to see how their lap times compare.
Now, they're going to have...
with a 20.3, 3/10 quicker than Baird in the second sector, so he's showing good pace. And they only have maybe a couple of minutes left at most, elapsed time. No, 4 minutes left, those two, so they'll get a few more laps still.
Here's
the
Jeff
2
Emery
pro guys.
Up the inside of the M6. Tiny contact.
Not committing to that move enough, just sticking his nose in. He tried to pull out of it, you can see. He's thought about it, then tried to pull out.
You're at the mercy of the ABS gods by that point.
Yeah, at that sort of back pocket of the car, Richo wouldn't have seen him.
And further back in the pack, this will probably be where Magro and Cooper's entry went off. That's Cooper in the wheel.
Yeah, good decision to go up this gate right there. You can see the car just about pulling air over those big bumps. So it won't be stopping well. The ABS would have been going berserk.
This is awesome. Looks like footage out of Star Wars with these guys on board. Under brakes.
Very quick through turn 8. And Tuner's getting a big run on that car. And there's Jonathan Webb.
Yep, so driver change.
Grant Denyer, a bit of race tape to the front bumper there to tidy that up.
We got 95 seconds for this pit stop, so might as well take your time with it. Out comes Mees. He's taken control of car number 1 from Jeff Emery.
So it'll be interesting.
Just keeps himself on the lead lap.
Interested to see what Greg Crick thinks of that little incident down at the final corner.
Well, he pinged his old teammate yesterday for the one on Morecambe, which would have been a very difficult decision to make. Now the Sticks McLaren is in, Tony Quinn out, Clark Quinn in. Oh, that's on a very awkward bit of the road, hopefully just off the racing line. Is that another winglet?
It's probably, it's a good chance it's part of the Webb Denyer car. Who knows though, it's a bit of front bumper by the look of it.
Off Ash Shamadi,
it's
the rear splitter.
Car.
Or off the rear bumper, more like it.
Shouldn't affect him too much.
And here comes the wounded Webb and Denyer. McLaren still in with a fight here.
Hopefully they take that up as well as they possibly can.
McLaughlin's next pass.
The race without it falling apart.
Oh, and no grip down there for Denyer. slow to come up to speed here. He's going to lose another spot potentially to Greg Taylor, is that, in the R8. Someone's locking up the brakes, which is rare. Oh, it's actually spinning, and it's the second Jemac Pem entry of Steve McLaughlin facing the wrong way. Awkward place to be sitting. That's the older model Audi that we have running in the series. He's going to whip it off down to the escape road here and try and get it turned around. He's actually done a pretty good job there to get that facing in the right direction. Now Baird pits.
Craig Baird into the pits.
Now, will they maintain their lead here at the end of this pit stop sequence? Guys like Ellingham and McPherson have the shortest pit stops of the guys around the front of the field. Greg Taylor also had a fairly short pit stop time of 1:10. Roger Lago's 1:18 will bring him back into contention with this car because he wasn't that far off. And Lago's in the pits right now as Elliot Barber takes the controls of the Techno Autosport McLaren off Nathan Antunes. What a drive from Antunes. The winner of this event last year started towards the back, got himself inside the top 3 with a superhuman effort.
That was a fantastic drive. Did so without putting a mark on the car. Must have had an amazing first lap. I'd love to see onboard footage of the first 2 laps with Nathan Antunes because he must have sliced through that field.
In 2 green laps, he passed over 25 cars pretty much, which is just about, well, it would have been about 20 cars all up in 2 laps.
I dare say we'll see it on YouTube in the not too distant future.
Tamati comes out, that's tight. And he comes out right in front of Greg Taylor. So the battle is on right there.
Aston Martin will be on slightly cold tyres, although they'll still carry plenty of heat from the first stint. They cool down a little bit in the pits. And Ash just running wide over the bumps, still getting up to speed.
Taylor is our trophy class champion from last year. Shared that car with, or shared the older car with Barton Moore. Capo's in the pits. There goes the Gragul Ferrari running in our invitational class this weekend.
And Scott Taylor getting out of the pits now, accelerating down to turn 1. He'll be wanting to get up to speed as quickly as possible.
He's going to have Roger Lago chasing him down. He's just out of the pits now as well. So the battle is on here. Craig Baird has handed the car over to Scott Taylor, and the race is absolutely alive.
Scott Taylor's come out of the pits in 2nd position. Andrew McPherson up front at the moment. Andrew McPherson having the shortest pit stop time out of the whole field.
Craig Baird already has 5 wins in the streets of Adelaide in this category, Australian GT Championship.
What are we going to see here?
Oh, that was a close
Taylor
one.
avoiding contact with the back of one of the Porsches, and luckily did a good job to avoid contact once he'd broken a little bit too late there without hitting anything. He's back underway pretty quickly.
In comes McLaughlin. You can see the control pit stop time ticking away there in the windscreen. Jemac Pem and this amazing team, Melbourne Performance Centre, putting together these Audis.
I was surprised McLaughlin's using one of the older model cars because he raced one of the current cars that he owns at the Bathurst 12 Hour.
So this time by, Taylor will take his lead. Oh, we saw this at the 12 Hour, didn't we? No, it's Elliot Barber. After such a good drive, trying to do the old Control-Alt-Delete at the moment to get this thing fired back up.
Yeah, we saw Alvaro Parent doing exactly the same thing on the pit straight at Bathurst.
Sometimes they can have a couple of little glitches. The one for Parent was actually a gear selection issue. That's not where you want to sit as well.
No,
that's not a lot you can do about that.
This car, oh,
man.
Especially when this car's coming up side by side.
And are these guys racing here,
stop, but,
including Mies and Salmon, wanting to get the pass done before a safety car comes out.
Fortunately for Elliot Barber and Nathan Antunes, that's the end of any chance of getting a result in this race. It's not 11 more hours to go to make a comeback. So,
what a shame.
Fastest car on the circuit just about all weekend is now out of contention.
After a ripping drive, deserved to be on the podium here, absolutely. They've got it going just like Brent did. And really good work by the officials to not throw the safety car in. That shows good knowledge of the category, good knowledge of the cars, knowing that Barber would likely get that car started back up. Good work. Race day's green.
And Chris Mies just did a 20.9. He's down in 16th position.
Gear selection issue, it was.
Gear selection issue. You can see he's got no gear. It's just free revving. You can see it says neutral on the dash, so for the car to go...
Oh, that's a horrible spot to be stuck.
It would have been probably much better to park on the inside, but very strange that down the straight, it actually can even get itself to neutral. So
he's coming in too, so he doesn't actually have to come back into the pits in terms of the rules, but mechanically, he's decided that he's going to bring it back in. What a shame. After such a good drive too from Antunes.
I'd be really interested to know the details of that problem, because to get down through all the gears back to neutral in a sequential box isn't that easy. But there's Scotty Taylor.
Now what's happened here, because that gap was 5 seconds, only a lap ago.
Well, Roger Lago is up to speed. He did the first stint in the race. He has more experience than Scott Taylor anyway. So he's closed the gap to Scott Taylor and is applying the pressure now, flashing his lights into turn 7.
This is for the lead. So Taylor's had a moment, we're hearing, and as a result, Lago's closed the gap. Doesn't need to do it here. Turn 8, are you serious? No. Decides not to. That would have been crazy.
But he's got a run on him out of turn 8, and he'll look for a move up the inside into turn 9.
That's more like it. Change for the leaders on here.
And good job, Scotty Taylor, doing the right thing, giving him plenty of room there. Let's see if Scotty can sort of hook onto the back of Roger Lago and maybe the carrot dangling in front of him increase his lap times, or decrease his lap times.
So what happened? Oh, he's missed the pickle signage down there, which is never a good sign. You want to be a bit closer to that tyre bundle. And he's had a big moment on the curb. Sends that shockwave through the brand new AMG GT3, then gets really sideways. We saw Griffith do this and actually park it in the fence.
No, not much correction going on there, so he's lucky to keep that Mercedes off the wall. This looks exactly like Mark Griffith's moment from earlier in the weekend. But
he's going to tag it.
No, he's going to make contact with the wall.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Quite heavy contact.
Whoa, he is really lucky that he didn't just completely park that thing in the fence.
Yeah,
and it would have pushed him back on the racetrack if he'd done that too. It could have been a nasty jump.
That was reasonable contact. You'd be a bit worried that everything's going to be safe and secure for the rest of the race, but it all looks okay.
They're lucky to be in second at the moment. And Tony Walls in the other McLaren, seems like there's nothing but McLarens and Mercedes out there this weekend, there's that many of them, is in third in the objective McLaren. He's chasing Taylor down here. Here he is.
So with 10 minutes remaining, Tony Walls sitting in a very strong position in third place.
Now this guy's worked out the pit stop control times well. Oh.
So we've got Elliot Barber back out on the circuit, but going back in again. So his windscreen wipers going this time.
Might need that later this afternoon. There is a chance of rain. KK, what's happening down to pit lane?
Well, unfortunately, another interview that I don't enjoy doing. Nathan Antunes, you were doing so well, and obviously not the result you're after there with that car stranded. It must have been awful for you to watch that.
Yeah, it's a bit, it's definitely not our weekend. You know, that's motor racing, it's how it is. I just feel sorry for Elliot because, you know, I've had some okay running this weekend and Elliot's just had dramas. So I feel a bit sorry for him. We definitely know the car is fast, so we're going to be good for Grand Prix, that's for sure. But just one of those weekends, I guess.
Talk about fast. Talk us through those laps. It's like you picked them all off one by one. We're here to race, you know, and I knew that I had to make up some good ground at the early stages. So I just made a commitment, went for it. Great to see.
Thank you. Getting his hair cut at the same place as Rick Kelly, clearly. Nathan Antunes.
Not a hair out of place after a very big fight in the opening stint of this race.
What are they saying here? Just trying to figure out the electrics on that car, the electronics, I should say. Here's Lago. He's drinks ahead. Still off the back of the 12-hour where he shared this car with Luke Youlden and Steve Owen, if you're wondering why their names are still on the roof of this car. They were not really in contention for winning the 12-hour, but it's amazing how different set of regs and sprint race format, all that sort of stuff here this weekend can play out.
And now all the pit stops have played out. We've got Lago, Taylor, Walls, Justin McMillan or Glenn Wood.
Yep.
Going nice and cleanly over that turn 1-2 chicane. No dramas there.
And the battle for second here.
Walls flying up to the back of Scotty Taylor and putting pressure on. We saw Tony Walls, along with some of the other amateur class guys, popping out in the front of the field in one of the earlier races this weekend.
Now in his fourth.
A bit closer with the pro guys in that race. So these guys might be safe to keep their positions before the end of the race with 7 minutes remaining. They've got to make sure Scotty Taylor and Tony Walls have got to make sure they don't fight too hard and slow themselves up because they're racing against guys like Dean Canto back in 7th. who's getting around probably a good second or two quicker per lap, and he'll be looking to hunt them down before the end of the race. But he's going to be pushing. Hard not to run out of time there.
Good battle for second, this one. Not a lot in it. Wall swings to the right-hand side. The former sailor, competitive sailor, takes second place. Or does he? Can he get it
Steering
stopped?
a little bit, but good job. That's a nice, clean move. So he's moved up to second position.
Used the pit stop times to his advantage to close that gap, which makes sense. He's got a Bachelor of Mathematics, Tony Wall, so he's crunched his numbers, and here he is in second position. He's doing a really, really good job in this category. Drove the wheels off that car here last year. Oh, Taylor with a moment. Gets it stopped. He was involved in that nasty opening lap crash on race 3, the Sunday race in this category last year. That car's needed a new gearbox off the back of Warren Luff's nasty crash up at Mount Panorama in the 12-hour. They sourced it from Asia, and here he is doing a great job now, second in the race.
Glenn Wood currently in 4th place, and he's hunting down Scotty Taylor. He'll be the next driver to have a look to try and get through up into a podium position.
Dean Canto's in 6th as well, so there's another Lamborghini on a charge, and Matt Solomon has closed in on this battle. So on debut in the Australian GT Championship, the young Hong Kong Australian dual national is in with a chance at maybe snaring a top 3 spot here. How good's this? You've got a couple of brand new Mercs fighting it out with a Lambo on the streets of Adelaide, and 6 minutes left on the clock.
Glenn Wood flashing his lights. He'll be looking to do the move we've seen done so often this week and get a run through turn 8. He'll be looking up the inside of Scott Taylor. Scott Taylor swerving under brakes, covering heavily and defending his position.
Good awareness by Wood there to make sure that they didn't make contact. Taylor defending that position ardently here.
Yeah, really you want to either block or don't block. You can't hit the brakes on the racing line and then start blocking once you've already started braking. So that's a little bit dubious.
And traffic playing a part here as well. It's Keith Wong who gives these boys a lot of room.
Running right off the road, getting out of the way, so very gentlemanly from Keith Wong. Scott Taylor's got to be careful with those defending tactics. There's no problem to defend and drive down a narrow line, but you've got to stay in a straight line once you're braking. You've
got to pick one or the other. Now, what can Solomon do here in the trailing Geelong Sales Mercedes? Wood under brakes, uses the ABS, smashes that brake pedal and gets the job done. Or does he?
Carried a lot of speed into that corner, so did a good job to keep it on the track, but he's got the job done. So he'll put his head down now and see what he can do about Tony
Solomon
Walls.
brings a surprise to turn 6, and that was the result. Taylor didn't know he was there, took the corner, contact made, and he's rolling all the way back towards the fence. Oh, nice work using the rear view camera in that car. It's a good effect, and that's Dean Canto swinging past. Hopefully he doesn't get pinged for a dangerous re-entry there. There wasn't much he could do about the position he was in.
So, yeah, Scotty Taylor fighting hard, doing a good job to defend his position, but just getting caught out with Matt Solomon.
Here's Aaron Tebb, who's swerving around behind him. Looks like there might be something wrong with that car. Here's the move once again. That was very aggressive from Wood. No problem with that one.
Understeering out into the wall. Did a good job to get that move done. Big commitment up into turn 4 under brakes. And Matt Solomon, not a move you normally make, but he was a fair way up the inside and then decided to try and pull out of it when he could see Scotty Taylor coming across. So tricky one to call that, but in the end they both are continuing in the race without severe damage.
There it is. Now every single brand new Mercedes has a scratch on it. Great.
Good stat.
Yeah. Here is the Ferrari. Tim Macro actually in that car at the moment. Great open wheel driver.
Yeah, good to see Tim out there having a run. Very well credentialed driver, good go-karter, good open wheeler driver, Formula 3 champion.
Race leader with a commanding lead here. 10 seconds up the road is Roger Lago. From Walls, Wood, Solomon, Canto.
What a weekend for Roger Lago. He's basically dominated this weekend. On track for another great win here after one already this weekend. Tony Walls also awesome to see him up in second place.
Mees just broke the lap record there on that lap.
20.3, back in 16th position, so we're not going to see him featuring up in the top 5, I dare say, by the end of the race, but he's carving out some awesome lap times. Chris Mees and Jeff Emery getting hurt a little bit by their driver seatings and long pit stop times, and also getting caught out in a couple of little incidents throughout the weekend.
The black flag being held out the window on the flag stand. We'll try and update you as to who is getting a penalty here. I wonder if it'll be involving the Mercedes that we saw earlier.
Could be Matt Solomon, I suppose, getting caught out in that accident with Scott Taylor. There's Mark Griffith,
Ricky Capo,
the sister Mercedes to Scott Taylor's car, and Ricky Capo in his BMW M4.
Ricky had his dad insert some cooling into this car because hasn't got aircon and he hasn't got a cool suit here this weekend. Thankfully, it's not too hot out there at the moment. This car suffered a brake failure in testing at Winton. They've flown emergency parts from Germany in to fix it. They actually got to go and to drive this car in Germany at Hockenheim to see if they liked it. They loved it. They bought it. This is the battle further back to second now. Glenn Wood on a charge, hunting down second position, ripping around the Adelaide Parkland circuit towards the end, and Solomon passing the older model Gullwing SLS.
So Tony Walls is racing the clock here with 1.5 minutes remaining in this race. He won't want to relinquish his second position to Glenn Wood, who's pushing hard to get onto the back of him.
Had a sit in this Lamborghini the other day in the pits. It's got a really reclined feel in the car. The steering wheel hangs almost up in front of your face.
They do have a very laid-back seating position, the Lamborghinis. They always have such a low roof height. They have to get the driver down low so he fits in there. But Tony Wall's doing a great job out in front of Glenn Wood, second overall in the race, obviously. He's done a 22.5 lap time.
This will be the second last lap, I'd hazard a guess, depending if Roger Lago gets back before the 50 seconds that you can see top left of your screen is up, which should leave a really good battle for second.
Tony Wall's driving smoothly, he's flowing the car nicely, and he's maintaining quite a good gap to Glenn Wood. Although he is closing the gap, he hasn't closed it as quickly as I would have anticipated. And Matt Solomon's ranging up behind them as well in his AMG Mercedes, but with 30 seconds left on the clock, it's going to be touch and go whether we see another lap in this race or not. So we've got to see where Roger Lago is on the circuit at the moment.
Here's a battle. Quinn versus Mees. This should be good stuff. Mees throwing the Audi around, desperate to pick up whatever points he can. They've had a pretty rotten weekend, second in yesterday's race, but pinged for contact with one of the McLarens.
8 seconds left on the clock. 5 seconds left on the clock.
So we should get one more lap in here.
Hayden Cooper, John Magro Lamborghini heading out of the pit lane. So.
I think that might have been what the black flag was. They
Okay.
did get a bad sportsmanship flag for curb popping earlier, so that would be the next step. Explains it. And Quinn trailing, and the battle for second is on here. So Macro moves the Ferrari out of the way and releases the Objective McLaren, prepared by McElroy Racing up in Queensland. This will be the last lap.
Look at the strobe lights on the front of Glenn Wood's car. He's hitting the flasher button.
He's letting it know.
Unbelievable speed. Although I do think it flashes automatically, but he's trying to distract Tony Walls, who is doing a great job keeping his eyes forward and driving a lot smoother and a lot more composed than we saw yesterday when he came out amongst the... oh no, Roger Lago's off the road. What's happened?
He's let it go.
Final lap of the race.
Oh, and he clouts the wall. Oh no, he's ruined it. He's... Oh no, he's made a mistake.
The car wasn't damaged until he did a spin turn into the wall. So getting out of shape under brakes.
Oh. So he had a...
Wouldn't dream of it. On the last lap of the race,
he had a 12-second lead. He's gone to get rid of the car out of the return road, and unfortunately smashed the fence doing it. That now makes this the battle for the lead. Tony Walls.
These guys may not know they're racing for the lead. I hope McElroy's guys haven't told Tony on the radio, because that would just put extra pressure on. But this is the final lap. Tony Walls looking for his maiden Australian GT victory. He's looking safe out in front. He's got 2 more corners to get through. You will not believe how happy he'll be if he pulls this off.
He's a CEO by trade. He goes race car driving on the weekend because it's his passion. And he's about to win an Australian GT race for McElroy. Unbelievable set of circumstances. Tony Walls, you absolute legend. That is incredible.
Fantastic result for Tony Walls.
Wow.
He's invested a huge amount of money and a massive effort to set this team up together with, and Roger Lago will be very dejected and upset with himself for that small mistake. After a stellar weekend, he's driven so well all weekend, in particular in this race. He had the lead out to 12 seconds, so I really feel for Roger Lago, but can't take anything away from Tony Walls. He was the best guy today.
Morecambe and Capo, and give that one to the Beamer. Just sneaks in for 8th. So how good is this for Tony Walls to come back to the track where he had that McLaren virtually destroyed by someone else's accident, and he claims a win. There's Denya,
Getting back to what I was
scraping.
saying, he's made a huge commitment to the Australian GT Championship over the last 2 seasons, purchasing the McLaren. He's had a big program with Macaray Racing, setting up this team. It's the best presented team in Australia motor racing, I reckon. You walk into their garage, it feels like you're walking into a Formula One team. So that's an awesome result for all those guys.
And to fix that car after the crash it had at Bathurst, to get it ready for this weekend, and to take a win is a very special achievement. Taplin and Canto, good drive from those guys. Also, Matt Sullivan on debut picks up a top 3. And you know what? Roger Lago will just hang on to the round victory by a solitary point over Wood and McMillan.
Maybe that's why he didn't look so upset. But
wow, that's lucky. That's just pure luck at the back of the pack.
Good drive from Aaron Tev and John Martin too, getting from the back of the field up to 5th place in the oldest car on the grid.